Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At TurnKey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, TurnKey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. TurnKey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact.
Here's what you get with this episode of The Nice Guys on Business.
Looking back now, I have the incredible gift, the total blessing of having been able to be in the right zone in a place where I can help people achieve excellent results on their cars. And then moving forward, I was able to help people get into the detailing business, through we teach a detailing school called the Shine Academy, Adams Polishers. We've taught hundreds and hundreds of classes over the years.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Well, people want to get out of people love detailing their cars, right? And then they got a 9 to 5 and they're under a fluorescent light in an office, right? And they're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. This is not what I don't think God wanted me to be here. I think I needed to be somewhere else. And it's like, yeah, but I love detailing my car. It's like, me too. I go out in the garage and I disappear for hours. My wife's like, hello.
You see, Danny, there's a force in the universe that makes things happen. And all you have to do is get in touch with it. Stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball. Or be the nice guys on business. Either one is good. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
Hey, podcast community. I was going to say Ford Mustang community, but this is actually going to air on a number of different podcasts that we have because of the fun story that I'm about to share of Adam Pitale. Adam is the founder of Adam's Polishes, which is a global brand in car cleaning and detailing products. You'll enjoy this conversation that I had with Adam. We went from his office to an emergency call that he had from someone in his family to pick his son up from school. So he jumped into the car. So we go from the office to the car to outside. So you'll hear the transition of the technology there. So don't let that detract you from this really fun conversation. Whether you are or are not a car person, this is a really great conversation. Adam goes through an inventory of some of the cars that he has, maybe gets into some of the details of those cars. So if you're not a car person for that part, just bear with it for just a couple of minutes because he does come and share his final couple of stories after we talk about his inventory of his cars. He talks about some of the lessons that he's learned in business and in life, in hiring and in firing. So check out this episode with Adam Pitale from Adam's Polishes. You'll really enjoy this conversation. Thanks for being here. Another episode. All right, welcome back to the podcast. How, Adam, have we not met until now? And only then via coincidence. Mustangs, F-100s, a laundry list of acquaintances in common. I'm excited to chat with you. Before I let you even say a word, let me tell my audience about you a little bit, how this happened. So Adam Pitale is the kind of guy who's been obsessed with making things shine since he was a kid, literally starting by cleaning and polishing bikes pre-teen, and not the preteens that we're talking about, just the bikes of preteens. That obsession has led to a hustle, then a business, and eventually into what we know now as Adam's Polishes. He launched the business back in 2000 in California, not from some grand plan, but because, just like all of us, he needed to make a living and figured there had to be a better way to keep things clean and looking perfect. So today, Adam's built a global brand around the same mindset, a little obsessive, a little unconventional, but completely driven by doing things better than good enough. He's the guy who'd rather wash a forklift or a classic Ford then keep it dirty. And that pretty much tells you everything about Adam that you need to know, except that's also how he shows up in business. Now, I coincidentally connected with Adam when I saw his recently selling a classic Ford truck on Marketplace on Facebook, which I must admit and share, I really wanted, but I'm so glad somebody else bought it because the last thing either one of us has needed was a new project. So Adam, that's all I've prepared for this conversation. I'm excited to chat with you. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
It's such a small world, huh? Car enthusiasm brings people together in so many ways. It's crazy.
Well, I saw this, and I hope you don't mind if I use some numbers here for a second. I saw a classic Ford that was priced below what I thought it should go for. Normally, a 60s or 70s something in really good shape is going to be in the $10,000-$12,000 range. You priced it well below that. And then I looked at where you were and I said, oh, he's in Idaho. Of course. That's why he's doing it, because I'm in California and everything's freaking, $12,000, $16,000, $20,000 for those things. So we just connected coincidentally. I just said, I think I started the conversation with great price. It's going to sell. And I didn't realize had you had it for sale for a very long time?
Longer than I wanted to, for sure. I had it for sale for probably maybe a month.
Yeah, and that's you don't want it hanging out there that long, because then people start to see the same thing over and over again, and they're like, "What's wrong with it? What's wrong?"
Yeah.
Did you have many like tire kickers come to you, or anybody?
Oh, yeah, sure. We had tire kickers. We had people that were excited about it. People like, the original patina paint. This is a 1971 F100, two-wheel drive, blue, and then the sides were white, right? So, and the paint was almost all original, which is nice.
Right.
It's got a lot of eyeball to it. However, the problem with it was it had some mechanical issues that needed to be resolved, and it had some rust, a little bit of rust that needed to be resolved. And I ended up with this truck quite by accident. It was one of the guys that helped me build this car wash. I built a car wash here in just outside of Eagle, Idaho, Boise, and basically the general contractor brought this little truck over to me and said, Adam, I'm in trouble. My transmission's out. And this was right in the middle of building our car wash. And I said, buddy, I love this guy. In fact, the craziest story, this guy named Shane, he used to own Ballpark Pizza, which is this killer little pizza place, kind of where I grew up in Southern California. He had one in Laguna Niguel, one in San Juan Capistrano. And like half my buddies that I went to high school with delivered pizzas during high school for this guy, Shane, in Ballpark Pizza. Anyway, fast forward, he ends up moving to Idaho. He starts a little pizza place here. And then the pizza place ends up, having some issues, goes out of business. He starts working as a general contractor. And he's working on my car wash. His truck, the transmission blows up. It's got probably, it says 20,000 miles on it. It's probably been over like 10 times. It's probably got millions of miles on it, literally.
Right.
So anyway, I said, let's get you right. Let's get you fixed up. I go, you're just a great guy, and I have so much history with you. I'll be happy to help you. So this is a year and a half ago. I went ahead and paid to have the transmission rebuilt.
Right.
So through my local car guys here, which is called Restoration Rods. They do work on all my cars, and they're just great. So I put a new, we sent pulled the transmission out, sent it in, had it rebuilt, put it back in the truck, and fast forward a year, we're well open now. He brings me the truck caked in mud and says, hey, by the way, I have just been pulled out of the mud in a rather meaningful way. Hey, and I need to blast all this mud off this truck. And what I'm going to do is hopefully not get stuck in the mud. He's working on these rural new home construction projects, and there's so much mud there. They're just absolutely just caked in mud. He gets stuck in the mud every time he goes out there. So he gets pulled out with a skid steer, drives the truck in here. We blast all the mud off for him. Away he goes, right? Well, fast forward, he then ends up coming back again like 3 days later, stuck in the mud. He couldn't pull out, and he's in trouble. I said, okay, that's great. Now, he's like, I really need to get a four-wheel drive truck. And I said, yeah, you actually really do.
Right. I was going to suggest
Idaho.
that. 71, and you get stuck more than a couple of times. You think, maybe I shouldn't take this truck to work anymore.
How many times do you want to get yanked out of the mud by a tractor, right?
Right.
So anyway, it was enough times, and he ended up bringing it back And I had a shop truck that I had bought from somebody that walked up and said, "Hey, I want my truck detailed. I'm going to sell it." I said, "Okay, hey, great. Let's just go ahead and give you, why don't you use my truck while we do this?" So he took our loaner truck, which is our shop truck, which is like an '06 F-150, 4-wheel drive. And he took it for, 2 hours while we cleaned his truck up. He comes back and he's like, "Oh, I love this truck. It's so nice." I'm like, "Well, yeah, compared to what you're driving, it's got all the creature comforts. It has a heater. This truck didn't have a heater,
Right.
like nothing." So he ends up saying, "What would you trade me trucks? Like, what would you tell me that my truck's worth?" And so we looked it up, and it was worth like $5,000 in the condition it was in, which needed everything.
Right.
So I said, "Tell you what, you give me $5,000 plus your truck. You can have our truck, and it'll just be good." He did a great job on our car wash. I knew I was doing him a solid. As soon as I own this truck, I end up having to put loads of money into it, because this guy's just one of those guys that just doesn't. Deferred maintenance doesn't bother him.
Understood.
I'm not that.
My last 2 trucks I bought at a song and dance, well under, I'm going to say well under $5,000. But I ended up putting 10 into both of them. There is no freaking way I'm selling either one of those and making any money. So that's why in that picture I sent you, I have 3 trucks sitting in my front yard.
Yeah.
I love them all, but hell, these things are. So anyway, so you got this truck, you ended up putting a whole bunch of money into it, and it just sat on marketplace for a while.
Just sat there, renew listing every little bit. So anyway, to make a long story longer, it went from $12,000, because I put $8,000 into it, by the way.
Right.
And it went from $12,000 thinking I might get close to break even, down to 11,000, down to 10,000, down to 9,000. And finally it sold for $8,000. And it's now back in California. I
wanted that truck so bad, and I would have bought it. First of all, you were a nice guy right out of the gate, because I look through the Facebook Marketplace almost every day, and I always send to somebody that is priced right and I think is a clean truck. I send them a note. It says priced right, it's going to sell fast, and I'm hoping that to a certain degree gave you whatever motivation or inspiration that you needed. But I always feel like everybody's got a truck on Marketplace. They're dealing with so many jerks and spammers and everything else. So I was happy that you sold it. I so wanted that truck. And then I started asking questions, and you're like, "Yeah, I started this little car cleaning." I forget how you said it. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, Adam from Adam's Polishes? I mean, Adam Pitale, I have your shit in my garage. At least a half a dozen of your products in my garage."
God bless you. Thank you.
I know that you go. I've watched a bunch of podcasts that you've been on. I know you spend most of your time telling your life story and all of that. I did not want to make you duplicate any of that stuff. I just wanted to share with everybody that, man, I was fanboying when I saw who you were, and then how connected I am to your products, especially the foaming car wash. It's like my favorite product by far.
That makes washing fun, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And in addition to the look and the good fun that the foam creates, it smells nice too.
Oh, that's huge. When I first started, nothing smelled good. All polishes smelled like petroleum. All soaps just had no smell. And it needed, everything needed something. And yet all these chemicals, they worked okay. They did not smell okay. They were difficult to use. And when we first started, I was using a lot of chemicals. We were when we first started making chemicals, we started detailing for Coca-Cola. We did all the trucks in Southern California and one plant in Las Vegas. That was 3,400 vehicles, and we had to get them done every 24 months. Mm-hmm. So we're using tons of chemical. And the fact was, using stuff that smelled bad and that you smelled bad after using it all night, you ended up with a tremendously horrible odor, and you're just so sick of smelling stuff all night, right?
Yeah.
So we started using this stuff, and we started having the chemical manufacturers that are helping us mix different chemicals together, add scent and colors.
So you're dealing with the manufacturer of these chemicals, and you're trying to make the soap smell better, or the product smell better. And what was the secret to that? How come no one had done that before you? Turtle Wax did not do a good job with that.
It's crazy, right? No one ever did it. It was just not a thing. People did not add fragrance to chemicals. And so we requested it. We said, "Listen, we're using this soap, and we're using a ton of a degreaser, and the degreaser has a really nasty, heavy smell. Like, what would it cost if we were to add like just a little bit of scent to sort of mask the nasty,
Yeah.
the natural nasty smell to it? Oh, well, I don't think it would cost very much. Maybe it'd cost, $10 for a 55-gallon drum. I'm like, sold.
Right.
Put the scent in it. So we did, and then we started scenting the compounds, the polishes, the
Right.
wax. And people kept commenting because we're detailing for Coca-Cola all night, right? 4 p.m. we get to a Coke plant, we set up and we detail from 4 p.m. until 4 a.m. all night. And then on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, we're at the Orange County Swap Meet in Costa Mesa, California, and we're selling this stuff, right? We're
Yeah.
selling the products that we keep coming up with the products all night, right? We devise chemicals working on Coke trucks
Right.
because we got like this massive, like, it's like a lab, right? You're constantly polishing and detailing, and you're like, this doesn't work very good. Neither does this. Neither does this. Let's improve this in this way. Let's improve that chemical in this way. Let's improve this, sponge. Let's find something with that can spread the dressing on the tires without letting so much seep into the cracks and sling down the side of the truck. Like, there's always some improvement to make. So we basically improved and developed and thought about how to make things better all night, and then we sold them on the weekends at the swap meet at the Orange County marketplace, which is was the largest swap meet I think in the country for so many years. It was from the 70s it had been going on.
I love that. I mean, you were like A/B testing before it was like a thing, and you were doing all of
Yeah.
this experimenting and innovating right in the field. But even before you had Coca-Cola, though, take us back just a teeny for just a quick second.
Mhm.
Coca-Cola was like you landed the 800-pound gorilla. There
Yeah.
had to be a lot of onesie twosies. I have a guy, Oscar, that pulls up to my next door neighbor, and he might have a half a dozen neighbors that use him for car detailing, but he's not expanding to a global brand like Adam's Polishes. What in your brain said, number one, I can do this, and then I can scale this, and then I can fucking blow this up? At what point did that happen?
Well, I give glory. I do give a lot of glory to God, because I mean, there's no way this would just be natural. Like, I was just a car detailer. I was a bicycle detailer when I was 10.
Right.
I cleaned bicycles. My mom started dating a cyclist. I detailed his bicycle. He goes to work. He's a doctor at Allergan Pharmaceuticals, this huge pharmaceutical company, and he tells all of his people at his and there's 200 people on the bike club, and then they suddenly are all. My mom's bringing home her Volvo wagon is filled with bikes every day. They come home. Hey, I need my pedal. I need my toe straps. They used to be leather, and they get crunchy and nasty after they get wet. They just turn into rocks. And I need those replaced. I need my chain replaced. My derailleurs are all messed up. So anyway, it was just one of those things where I just was able to get a lot of customers through a very organic and accidental way in bicycle detailing. And then fast forward maybe a year into washing the neighbor's car, then washing the next neighbor's car, then washing the next neighbor's. And I just kept washing everyone's car. And, I'm 10, 11, 12 now. By the time I'm 13, 14 years old, I've got a pretty cool little washing and waxing business. And, detailing, I don't even remember ever hearing the word detailing.
Right. Wash and wax.
Wash and wax. I mean, that was a detail was if you wash your car and wax it and vacuum it out, you armor all the dash, right? That's a detail.
Right.
And back then, I don't think that the word detail was something that ever entered my mind. And it wasn't something that I focused on, but it was very good revenue for every day after school. I'd come home and wash another neighbor's car. And when I was 14, this kid, John Hodge, he lives around the corner from me. He's always driving by and seeing me wash cars because I washed them in my driveway a lot. And he'd come over and he'd end up helping me. He worked at the local pizza place. He'd sell pizzas over at the pizza place. He'd make pizzas. And John and I became fast friends. And then customers were able to start getting mobile detailing done because we would use John Hodge's VW Bug. We throw the vacuum in the back seat, some towels up in the frunk, the little trunk in the front. And, so we ended up doing some mobile detailing. Fast forward, I turned 16 and ended up with a little, like one of those little Mitsubishi van, kind of looks like a toaster.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was doing a lot of detailing and then realized that I'm spending a lot of time driving to one person's house for one car or two cars. And I'm not doing as much detailing as I am driving. Again, Southern California, even back in the 80s, there was still a decent amount of traffic. So I started going after limousine companies. And limousine companies were really in need of regular care. They needed to
Yeah.
be washed like every day because
Right.
every day they had a new customer. And most of them were black. Most limousines were black. There were some white ones, but then, the white tops would look all crunchy. They'd look, there's dirt in the grain of the vinyl, so it would be
Right.
scrubbed out really well.
Right.
The hubcaps, the wire hubcaps, they needed to be thoughtfully cleaned. So I knew how to do that stuff. Or I figured it out. And I started mixing chemicals on the limousines. The limousines was the beginning of mixing existing chemicals together to save steps. So if I had to compound something once, fine. But if I had to compound it twice or polish, if I had to compound, buff all the scratches out, and then polish it and then wax it,
Right.
that would add a meaningful amount of time to that effort.
Right.
So I really was trying to save time. And, at that point, it was the first time I had still John working for me. Then I ended up hiring a couple other kids. And I mean, meanwhile, I'm in high school. Nothing was more expensive. Even the most expensive chemical in the world was cheaper than paying man hours,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
because there's nothing more expensive than paying a dude to do work.
Right.
So I started combining a polish and a compound on the same pad, and then mixing pads and changing pads and trying to do things. Because again, I had a lot of these limousines to do. I went and did a free detail for every limousine company in the area. And there's Lake Forest Limousine. That was the main one. Randy Tooker was his name. And he's still just a great guy. I know him well. I still keep in touch with him. And I met him in 1987, the year I turned 16. Anyway, started doing his limousines, and he had like 6 or 8 of them. And another guy, but it seems like something about limousine owners and cocaine went really hand in hand. Like these guys, they went into business,
Yeah.
they bought all these limousines probably on credit. They ended up with a cocaine problem. And then their cars were suddenly gone, and you show up to go detail their cars, and there's a lock on the gate and a notice on the door saying, "We've seized your property. Call this number to schedule your court appearance." So anyway, so I ended up really, I did a free car for all 5 of the big limousine companies in Orange County. I got all 5 of them to say yes, because of course they want a free detail.
Of course.
But then after probably a year, one easily rose to the top and was the most legitimate. That was Lake Forest Limousines. I was working for Randy and detailing his limousines all the time. And he'd come out there and talk to me, and we'd sit there and talk about, what do you think about this hubcap? Does this hubcap look cleaner than that hubcap? Do you think that this one has a little bit more cloud to it? How about How about the black paint? Do you think that this one is deeper and richer than the black paint on that panel?
You're on a
And
mission,
he'd be
man.
like, yeah, because he was really thoughtful like that. Really a very, very thoughtful operator. He wanted his cars perfect. Anyway, he would help, and I'd stand back, I'd stand back and look, and I'd be like, you know what? I do think that one's better. He's like, yeah. I go, cool. So we'd start combining chemicals to make it faster and better.
Right. And better.
And that was sort of the beginning of that. And then there was this guy named Dur Dave. Dur Dave, this is funny enough. Dur is the in German. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Dur Dave had a whole product line called Dur Shiny Stuff. DER Shiny Stuff.
Can't make this shit up.
You can't make this up. He operated out of the Porsche dealership in San Juan Capistrano, which is called Bill Yates Porsche Volkswagen. And in this Volkswagen dealership, Dave would go bottle his special polishes and waxes that were, I would say imported from Germany. Maybe they were made in Commerce City, Colorado, but with an intentional,
right,
intent from Germany, right?
Designed in Germany.
Designed in Germany, yeah. At least in thought out in Germany,
right? Thought out in Germany.
Yeah, or thought out while having German dreams.
Maybe so.
Maybe not quite in Germany, but he saw there was a market for German marketed products, so he started doing this, and he started selling it. And that Volkswagen Porsche dealership happened to be very close to where I was living, so I could ride my bike there and get new products. And that was just a great way for me to get products. And he would provide me different chemicals, and I'd buy stuff from him, and it was great. But there were some things he just didn't have, and that's when I would go, combining other people's stuff.
Did you have any idea what you had your hands on. I mean, in retrospect, everything is easy. Monday morning quarterback is always like,
Yeah.
yeah, hell, he's gonna kick from the 60-yard line or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
of course, because he kicked the field goal, he kicked it from 80 yards out.
Yeah.
How the hell did he do that?
Yeah.
You had all of the makings, and I want to talk about attitude in a second too, because one of the things I immediately noticed in our communication through Facebook Messenger before we discovered, or I discovered who you were. I'm still nobody. You're still you're somebody.
Come on, you're definitely somebody.
Was your attitude and your positivity, and we will chat about that in a second. But I want to share, like, how and when did you realize that you were into something that you really could scale? I mean, you could get the Coca-Cola trucks, you could take a brand national, you could take it international. When did that all gel in your head?
It's funny, looking back, the most perspective you have, right? Of course, you look back, like you say, Monday morning quarterback. That's the easiest time for total clarity, right? You have total clarity Monday morning.
Right.
How's the game? How did the game go? How did it end? What was the greatest play you ever made? What was the one you missed? I cannot help but to give glory to God and just say, hey, sometimes a door got slammed in my face that I thought this was the door. I'm walking through this door. This is where I'm going. I'm going to be taking over my dad. My dad had vocational colleges. So he was an educator. He took people off welfare, trained them in an entry-level job, and he took them and then did job placement. And I thought for sure El Dorado Colleges, which was his business, I was going to be taking over El Dorado Colleges, and I was for sure going to be the next big shot at El Dorado Colleges taking over. And I was just doing this detailing thing was just a gig to get me through,
right?
Elementary school, junior high school, and I went to USC. And all through USC, I took on loads of debt and detailed loads of cars and finished with a lot of debt. But it would have been worse had I not detailed cars. I did realize that things that I thought were going to happen, that I was sure that I was going to be the next big shot and the next big vocational college owner, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Again, I would say God slammed that door shut in my face. And there was like, dang. And all my buddies, all my fraternity brothers and everything, they had such a nice tailwind. They're going into the family business, established large family businesses with a nice tailwind. All you got to do is jump in the driver's seat. The car's already rolling. You don't even need to know how to put the car in gear. The car's in gear. The car's in third gear. You don't even need to worry about putting first, second, and third. You just go into third.
Right.
Well, that didn't happen. And I ended up with a very different calling, a different reality.
Your video stopped. I don't know if you're still there.
I see we are frozen right now.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as your audio keeps going, it's okay with me.
Do we have a world that's working?
We have a world. Hey, I don't know. Have you ever taken any type of sales training?
When I was 15, my dad took me to the Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
And that was meaningful. That was a very meaningful time. All these people were big industrial, they're leaders in each of their fields. And here I am, a car detailer, and I had one employee. I'm 15. My employee was 16. But I had a cool little thing going.
So
but I saw the value to
absolutely. That. And the only reason I asked you about sales training was because I don't know if you ever heard of Sandler Sales or if you ever had anybody on your team that was trained through Sandler Sales, but there's this Sandler program. Well, my dad was Dave Sandler, the guy that created the system. And think about, there's 200, maybe 300 franchises of his organization across the world. And all I could think about when I was in college, like, this is going to be the best thing ever. I'm going to go into Sandler Sales. I'm Dave Sandler's son. I'm going to be able to do the sales training. I love selling. I love building relationships. I always won the positive attitude award among the 5 kids. I was always the guy that wanted, my dad's going to bring me into the business. And my parents got divorced.
No.
And with that went all of my aspirations to take over the business, because the next wife, son, ended up taking over Sandler.
How that stinks.
Talk about sucky. Talk about really horrible.
Yeah.
But also, and I want to use your words too. Glory be to God, because God had other plans for me.
Yes.
And my dad kept saying, I want you to make it on your own. And all I kept hearing was, I like this kid better than you. That's
Yeah.
all I kept hearing. And I don't mean to bring this interview down at all, but when your dad, or when the situation resulted in you not being the king of VOTEC schools and all of these all over the country,
Yeah.
as soon as you said that, all I thought about was, this is, you're telling my story right now. And
Oh, funny.
while you have built a global brand, this is great. I feel like, wow, what amazing amount of successes I feel like I've had, in spite of the fact that, I mean, I could have taken it and gone completely in the dumper and just completely led a life of drugs, depression, all this stuff. That why not? Why not? Why didn't he pick me? Why, all of that.
Yeah.
But I
For
feel
me.
like it
Yeah.
it drove me to want to be more successful. I wanted to teach him a lesson in the worst way.
Yes.
So I appreciate you sharing that story, because totally relatable. And who in our audience is
Yeah.
the same way? You think your life is all lined up, or you got all these great plans, and then you want to make God laugh.
Whoops.
You tell him your plans.
Yeah. It's
So
so true. I mean, you are dead right. And I'll tell you that door getting slammed in your face, hindsight, was probably fabulous for you, because had you gone into an established organization, rigid, you would have just been walking down this corridor that people have been walking down that corridor for years and years before you. And I've come to understand how big companies operate, and I don't like big
no,
companies
I'm
at
with you.
all.
I'm
I
with
don't
you.
like it.
So how long? So you were born in 71 then, if I
Yep.
did my math correctly. So I was born in 64. So I got a few years on you, but I have to tell you that, what's interesting about it is that I've loved, and I think that I feel like you, even though I'm sure there's been heartache along the way in growing things and not getting exactly the goals that you wanted to, but we always pivot and redesign and go in a different direction. Success is a squiggly line. It's not a straight line. And I feel like you arrived because you had the mindset that you don't care how you get there, you just know you're going to get there. I feel like that might have been your path also, because you seem to be the kind of guy that just is always a positive, happy, feeling fortunate, feeling very good about what's coming in your life as well.
See if I can push end on this and not cool. It's funny. I feel super blessed that I have been able to do what I really feel called to do for a living. Detailing was something that became very natural for me. I'm super OCD. I like things perfect. It's really hard to make things perfect. If you're not that sort of almost crazy,
Right.
weird kind of way,
Yep.
you have to be that weird kind of person to have that, to excel at something like detailing, right? If you're just you're just a generalist, well, you might not be a detailer. Maybe you should do something that's less perfection, oriented. But I feel that my calling was clear in that, looking back again, always hindsight's perfect. I feel like God slammed some doors. He opened others, recognized that, hey, me working outdoors, good. Me working indoors under fluorescent lights, bad.
Yeah.
Me staring at a computer screen all day, bad.
Yeah.
Like I did not get any fulfillment from that at all. And that was not a calling that was clearly cut out for me. And good, I don't want it. But I think that looking back now, I have the incredible gift, the total blessing of having been able to be in the right zone in a place where I can help people achieve excellent results on their cars. And then moving forward, I was able to help people get into the detailing business, we teach a detailing school called the Shine Academy. Adams Polishers. We've taught hundreds and hundreds of
Oh,
classes
love
over the
it.
years.
Love
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh, it's great. Well, people love detailing their cars, right? And then they got a 9 to 5, and they're under a fluorescent light in an office, right? And they're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. This is not what I don't think God wanted me to be here. I think I needed to be somewhere else. And it's like, yeah, but I love detailing my car. It's like, me too. I go out in the garage and I disappear for hours. My wife's like, hello.
It's so funny you say that because it's not even about you haven't even gotten into and we haven't discussed yet and we will the mechanics of cars turning wrenches and just having fun under the hood. I think right before this I was fixing a fuel leak that I have on my 73, replacing the little inline filter, and before that I was doing something with the carb on another truck, and then my new license plates came for one of my trucks. I'm always if my room in my house is the garage. I'm very surprised that my studio is not in my garage with all the cool, paraphernalia
Yeah.
around me. But it is so fun that you've had a chance to be able to have fun. You're not really in the car cleaning business, and I'm sure you are aware of this. You're in the people business, and you just happen to clean cars as a part of it because the attitude that you bring to your business and to your team, I'm sure, is pretty infectious in a good way.
Well, again, blessing, total blessing, and it's neat to be in your sweet spot, right? Because a lot of people have a tough time finding their sweet spot, and sometimes it takes us a tremendous amount of discipline to decide I'm going to focus on my strengths. I'm going to focus on what I'm good at, because I can tell you a big long list of stuff that I suck at. And I shouldn't do it for a living, like I should not sell apartment buildings. I tried that job after college, I should not cold call people and try to get them to loosen up and give me an apartment building listing, because apparently I can't take rejection very well on the phone. I want to tell people,
No,
no,
no.
F you,
No. Sales, you
you know,
never go into sales to get your needs met, my dad always said. He said you
oh,
go in there to go to the bank. That is the only reason that you go into selling. You're in a business where you get to bring your passion forward, and you're probably the same kind of guy, and I know this is how I am, and if you're in our listening audience of any of the number of shows that we're going to release this on, if you're the kind of guy that loves to fill out like a checklist, like after you've done something like task, check it off. I take it to the next level. If there's something that's not on my list that becomes a task, I write it down and I check it off just so I have something to check off.
yeah,
I don't
that's
have any
satisfying, isn't it?
no
Boom.
piles. I'm not a pile guy. My girlfriend, totally a pile lady. She can have a huge pile on her desk in the kitchen, vitamins, supplements, all this stuff. My desk is a
Yeah.
skating rink, and it looks like just in your looking in your environment, just from behind you, it looks like you're a pretty neat and tidy kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting here in my office right now. I should show you how cool this is. We got ourselves a pretty cool some
Oh,
old Porsche artwork. That's my daughter's senior project up there. I've got Porsche signs. I've got all kinds of stuff. And yes, I definitely like things nice and tidy, and of course
yeah.
our Atlas polishes needs to be
Check you out,
done.
man. Check you
But
out.
yeah, I'm with you. And that's, again, you're an OCD person and I'm an OCD person. That's why we
I
can
never
hang.
thought I was though. I'm just the kind of I just like things so that they're in order. I don't want my schedule jammed with 17 appointments in a day because that not only kills me brain wise, but I need a nice little buffer between between my appointments
Well,
also. I need
trust me,
my
your
car.
girlfriend tells you that you're OCD. I guarantee
I'm
you.
sure there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Guaranteed.
My car, I always say, "Hey, I'm sorry it's so dirty." Somebody gets in it and there's like a Kleenex box. It's like not squared up to the door frame or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
you're a classic OCD, the real
yeah,
deal.
yeah, but I don't know that I would be clinically OCD. I just think from a business perspective, this is how I like things to be done. I was
Sure.
running through a couple of ideas with some of my friends. I have a buddy of mine. I'm in Ojai, California, just south of Santa Barbara. A buddy of mine lives in LA, closer to LAX. He knows everything about cars. He's got the engine lift. I know if a guy's got an engine lift at his house that he knows what he's doing.
Hmm.
I was saying to him, "Hey, let's come up because I love like doing the interior work. I love replacing dash and doing all the instruments and tidying up the interior and all that." And I said we should have like a truck or a Mustang camp. There's guys that want to be able to even change their oil but aren't sure and aren't confident enough to do it, or maybe they just never learned. Just to have a camp, like a long weekend in either Southern California or somewhere that's easy to get to. What the weather is nice 10 months of the year. Have you? So it sounds like you do something like that with your school. Is that what you do, or what do you do?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. That's so the Shine Academy is very much that. People want to know, how do I make my car perfect? Some people are there because they want to make their daily driver or their show car or whatever perfect, and they just love it. They want to take their skills to the next level. Yeah, I think we have 10 students. We try to cap it at 10, and we almost always fill the classes. We do them we do them at our Denver location, then we do them at our Scottsdale location, then we do them at so Denver, Scottsdale, Anaheim.
Got
So
it.
we do, and we kind of do like every month we do it at one of those 3 locations. So, and we do them all 4 times a year
I think
at
I
all
got
the.
to. I think I got to make it to the. Do you go, or is it just your guys?
Oh, I go. I go. I go probably 3 or 4 times a year. So
I
I don't go to all of
I,
them, but I go at least quarterly.
I got to figure out how I can get to one of your camps. I'd love to be able to sit in on it and actually, like I have the need to learn how to do. I don't know anything about preserving a patina or anything like that. And nowadays with everybody, what's it called? That patina polish, or I can't even remember
Yeah,
that. Whatever it is.
I saw that stuff. You clear coat over the patina to try to keep it patina-y.
Right. So so I never knew that. I just thought trucks just continue to rust. I didn't know that there's actually
Yeah,
something that you could do on that. So Poppy's
yeah.
patina, I think
Poppy's
it's what.
patina. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So it's very cool to see that people can take care of I'm learning about the mechanics of the car, wanting to keep it on the road and enjoy it, and replacing the brakes and doing the distributor and all and changing fan belts and all that stuff. I mean, not too totally difficult stuff, but the whole idea of just keeping the car not only running well, but looking really well on the outside too for these old survivors like I have,
Oh
that's
yeah.
really important. So talk to our listening audience just about some of that, fun stuff that's going on in the world of preserving classics.
Oh, so well, first of all, I'm a huge enthusiast of old original paint. And old original paint, a lot of times, if you're dealing with paint from the 60s and 70s and even early 80s, you have single stage paint.
Right.
Single stage paint is just the color of the car sprayed on it or the truck, and then that's it. They don't put clear coat on it. And when it oxidizes, if it's an orange truck, you walk up to it and you rub your fingers across it. Boom, you got orange on all 4 of your fingers. You just, you know what I
Right.
mean? You swipe
Right.
across. If it's
Right.
white, you got white fingertips, right? Oxidizes like that. Polishing the oxidation off and getting that to glow. That old original paint absolutely glows. Like on that blue truck that you were looking at that I
Yeah.
sold, we polished that thing within an inch of its life. It looked great, really nice, considering the paint was as old as me.
Right.
That thing shined pretty well. And so I love old paint. Old German paint is some of the best. You really get killer, like old Mercedes paint, old Porsche paint, single stage. You can buff it and it just comes glowing. But old Ford paint really comes back. I've got 273 Broncos. I have an orange one and a yellow one. And my orange one is I bought from the original owner, and it's the original paint from
Yeah.
1973. And it is just orange, and it was just absolutely oxidized. And he drove it. He had 140,000 miles on it. And he reckoned he had at least 100,000 of those off road.
Wow.
So it
Okay.
was beat up. I had to pull the body off, but all new suspension, all new drivetrain, all new everything because it was just so beat. But the body was so gloriously patinaed. The batteries had blown two batteries. The right side of the hood, and the left side of the hood had been etched and just mangled by when each of those batteries blew up at one point. Battery acid went over and stained it, and it looked horrible until we polished out, and it looks glorious now. Just a kiss of just, oh no, that looks. I can't believe what a horrible thing, but. Oh, what a wonderful add to this patina on this truck.
Yeah.
So, but bringing back old original paint is one of the most satisfying things you can do in car care, in detailing. If you've got, I remember seeing your trucks. I kind of feel like one was white, colonial white, or
Yeah. Wimbledon white.
Wimbledon white. The one was like bluish,
lunar green,
lunar green.
and
Okay.
whatever 73 green that Ford had was on the third one. And my
That
Mustang, you haven't even seen it.
boxwood
Yeah,
green.
something like that. Exactly.
Anyway, bringing those paints back, they come back so nice. They look amazing. So you polish those thoughtfully and carefully, and you can bring them back, and they look great.
So Adam had to take another emergency call. I guess when you live in Idaho and you're 1,000 miles from anything, you have to do what you got to do. So I think he's going to pick up his kid at school right now. Is that right?
That's exactly right. So my daughter, we have a pickleball game with her and her boyfriend, and she had to go meet with her Young Life leader. Young Life is a Christian club for kids, and she had to go meet with her Young Life leader, and then apparently the meeting went long, and it's all the way back towards our kids' school is on the other side of town. So I'm going to be driving to the other side of town to go grab my kid Enzo from the school and talk to you because it's 20 minutes away. So that just adds a little 20-minute buffer to our deal. But it's going to make my video less
No worries.
awesome because
Nah, that's all right. We're an audio podcast anyway, so everything is good.
No problem then.
All right.
Good.
So where were we? What were we talking about? We were on to. Do you remember?
Let's see. We were talking about. What were we talking about when we just spaced?
We were talking about positive attitude, making plans. We already went through whatever. We can just pick up anywhere from here.
Talking about cars? Were we talking about?
Oh yeah, okay. So we were talking about under the hood and
paint.
Paint, exactly.
Paint and how awesome great paint is, and how great it is to remove oxidation from a vehicle that's got old school original single stage paint, because it is awesome. It is such a nice victory to restore that great old paint. It just looks so good when you're done. So I started working on old paint and making old paint awesome long time ago. And it's just been something that it's one of those. You ever polished aluminum? Like when you're polishing aluminum, it just slowly comes back to like looking like chrome.
I have a 30-foot Airstream in my backyard that we use as a guest house, and I've never polished it because I don't.
What?
I've heard so many nightmare stories about people polishing it to mirror finish, and then you never can stop doing it. You have to always get it that good.
You're right, by the way. Once you do it to perfection, the absolute goal is to clear coat it.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
You get it to perfection, and then you have it clear coated, and that'll maintain that look for a long time. So that's the magic thing. If you just polish it and buff it and make it perfect, well, then the elements are never kind.
Right. Right. Well, this thing is great. It's a 1977, and I love it's called the Sovereign, the land yacht.
Yeah, so land yacht. Yeah, that's a model. Yeah,
we just use it as a permanent install in our backyard. We built a deck off of it and a little covered area. So when family comes, we don't have a huge house. We live in Southern California. We have a big lot, but a small house.
Yeah.
So we don't want everybody be on top of each other when they come to visit. So we got this little thing, this Airstream, and it has been what a great. It kind of makes me feel like it's just another one of like a classic cars and trucks, just sitting in my backyard as a guest house.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's a very groovy way to add a spare room to your house. Good for you. That's a great way.
Agreed.
Vintage cool. It goes along with your shtick too. The old Fords, the old. Have you hooked up the old truck to the?
No, but
old Airstream.
You know what I want to do?
That would be a pretty good image.
I know what I want to do is I want to get an old Ford truck just to hang out in the backyard there. Doesn't even matter if it has an engine or a transmission. Just put it right in front of that Airstream. It would be the coolest experience. And I probably could pick up one for like $2,500 somewhere.
Well, I know for 100% you can pick one up for $8,000 because I just sold one that that had all the stuff working. You could have pulled the engine, the transmission out of it, and the heater, and new tires. You could have pulled all that stuff off of it. Let it sit there.
The problem is that when I see a truck that's got the engine and transmission, and even if it's not working well, I want to fix it to get it back on the road again. I don't ever want to see it in a scrapyard. So for me, I'd have to buy one that was already de-engined and de-transmission, so that I wouldn't even want to think about putting an engine and a transmission into it.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, you want to keep as many of these things on the road as possible. I feel that way about old air-cooled Porsches. I love these old cars that are built so well, and you see one that's kind of rotting away. You're like, wait, that can be saved.
I know,
that can totally be saved.
Well, we all want to save our machines. What was right in front of that Airstream? It was a 1950 Ford 8N tractor that I had for about a year and a half. I bought it at a estate sale, but somebody wanted to pay me way too much money to buy it from me. So I'm like, okay, I don't need this tractor. I wanted to buy another truck at any point. So wait, funny. So let's spend another couple of minutes talking about what is in your driveway other than the truck that you just sold on Marketplace. So now what do you got in your driveway?
Oh boy. I was counting the titles in my title folder the other day. So I've got 20 vehicles.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's a lot.
Sorry.
A lot of vehicles, and that's a problem. I sold 10 last year, so I'm better. I'm a lot better than I was. but I still have a ways to go. I sold a 66 Shelby GT350 last year. Sold an 89 Speedster, Porsche Speedster, and then I sold an 89 Turbo. I sold my 71 F250, which was on Bring a Trailer, which if you look me up on Bring a Trailer, my name at this point is Adams Polishes, but it's about to be Adams Motors because I need to keep those two entities separated.
Yep.
Anyway, that is those are some that I got rid of, and then I got rid of some more.
Well, not what you got rid of. I want to hear what you still have. That's what everybody wants to know. They want to know what.
Man.
Hold on. Before you go there, though, GT350. Do you feel like they're overvalued? You think that the valuation is a little high on those things?
They are really high, and I think that everything is a little off right now, to be honest. A lot of the market's soft. The real estate market's a little bit soft. The car market is definitely soft. So there's a sort of a time and a place to sell a car. And if right now you don't have to sell your car, you should hold on to your car because you're going to get less for it today than you will hopefully when we got a war going on, we got high interest rates. There's a lot of things that make for soft car sales. So GT350s, there are so few of them, and it's such a wonderful car. One of my dear friends, his name is Colin Comer. If you look up Colin Comer, he is the guy to end up. Yeah, he's one of the guys that one of the main authors on Shelby.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to meet Colin. I interviewed him on our Mustangs on a Mission show probably about 2 years ago, and I do remember he was quite a good guy. I'm glad that you're buddies with him. And
we've been buddies for a long time. But so to know Colin, basically, as soon as you are able to buy a $350,000 Mustang, you buy one because because Colin's like, okay, listen, Adam, I think I found the car for you. I found it. It's going to be, exactly what you wanted. And, you kind of tell him about what you're thinking and whatever I was thinking. Bottom line, I did end up with the Shelby GT350, a 66. Mine, we ended up putting a Paxton supercharger on, which made it a monster. It's such a beast. And I enjoyed it. However, I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed driving the similar year, the 67 Porsche 911S. I really like how tight and light that car was. It was much, much more enjoyable to drive. The light little Porsche. I just love the lightweight little Porsche. It's just so much more fun to drive, and going around corners, I love it. Going around, I just really enjoyed that car more. So the Mustang sat, the Porsche got driven more. So anyway, so that's my story on the Shelby.
Yeah, but everybody's got a Mustang story, and not everybody's got a Porsche story. So I'm gonna defend the Mustang owners and Mustang enthusiasts in our audience, which is everybody, by the way.
In my very first car, by the way, was a 65 289 3-speed automatic Mustang. So was my dad's car, then became my car. So I have Mustang in my blood, and I started there. Whenever you start, whatever your first car was, you'll I think all of us will always have that in our blood.
Well, I was always jealous of the guys in the high school parking lot that had their old Mustangs, 65s and 66s, and I ended up getting, when I moved here to California in 2018, the first year I moved here, I got a 65 289 convertible in blue, and I love it. Sitting in my garage right now. It's the only vehicle I have that has like 7 covers over it because I don't want anything to ever happen to it.
Hey man, that's great. Yeah, I remember you sent me a picture of that thing. I think you sent me a picture of it. That's it. I had a similar car to you, so that was it. But I love the Mustangs. I do. And the Broncos. So I've got 2 Broncos remaining. I had 5, and I have 2 now. I have 2 73s. I have a 73 totally restored, factory fenders, everything stock. And then I bought that from one of my good customers. I bought it in 07, so I've had it for a really long time. And then I've got another 73, which is cut fenders, set up for off-roading, all original orange paint, which is that paint that I was talking about earlier, which I love.
Yeah.
So nice. and that sucker is just wonderful. Just such a beautiful patina mobile. I keep it up at our lake house here in McCall, Idaho, and it is just awesome. So I've got those two Broncos, the 911S, Aga Blue. If you look up Aga Blue, AGA Blue, it is one of the creamiest blues in the world. It is so great. And I saw it at Cars and Coffee in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I looked at. I was like, "Oh, this car is speaking to me." I look in the car. On the floor is a for sale sign, and the guy's name is, whatever, 40, blah 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 blah, called Cliff. So I call Cliff, and I'm like, "Cliff, I'm standing next to your car." He's like, "Well, I'm standing across from it." Comes over, talks to me. I end up taking the car for a drive, and the 67 was the first year for the 911S, and it is just an amazing light. It's just so light. Back when Porsches were very light, and the S added a bunch of horsepower. So that little horsepower, pounds per horsepower, was the ratio was spot on. You really had a reasonable amount of horsepower, even in those days, for the weight of the car, and it was just great. So Aga Blue. A 1978 Porsche 911 Targa. The 911 Targa was the car that my mom's boyfriend drove when I was in high school. Parents got divorced when I was like 10, so she started dating a guy, and he had an 84 Targa. And oh, I love the car. I loved that car. Just what a driving experience. The 978, and it went through to, I think, 84 or something like that, and then it turned into just the Carrera. But right here, I'll call right back. But hopefully you can hear me as I make this very limited coverage area corner.
I can hear you.
So anyway, the idea, you still got me?
Yep, I got you.
The idea around the Targa things, as soon as someday I'm going to end up with one of those. And this car is the color is cashmere, which is like butterscotch. So it's this creamy 70s color, butterscotch with brown interior, and it's just beautiful. And I love that car. And it's got a completely built motor, and it was owned by the original owner was the guy I bought it from. His son. His son was 70 when I bought it from him. And he was actually one of the engineers for Elephant Racing, who does some of the best suspension components for Porsches.
Amazing.
So he used this car for like his test mule, and he just tested every single potential suspension component on it, and it is so dialed. Like the engineer, the most anal engineer ever, did everything possible to make this car wonderful, and he did it, man. His name is Greg Lyons out of San Jose, California. Awesome guy. So I was blessed enough to buy his car, and it's probably my favorite. And then the newer, go ahead.
No, you go. Keep going. I like it. You're telling the inventory. I might have to cut some of the Porsche stuff out since we have a Ford audience here. But I'll.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, the last one is a Safari. I've got a 1979 Porsche 911, which I turned it into an off-roader. So it's lifted. It's lifted 4 inches. It's got snow tires on it, of all things. And it's got a built motor. It's got a completely off-road setup suspension, and it is just ready to be driven in the winter. It's been ready. It's snow worthy. It's everything worthy, and it's a little bit of a beater. I bought it out of Canada, and it was rough, and which was the one that I decided to make the beater, the winter beater, and that's what it is. So it's kind of cool.
What's the next on your buy list if you had to buy another car? Because it's like potato chips. You can't just have 20. You need a few more. What's your next buy?
You're so right. I never thought that I would fit in a Ford GT. The Ford GT, and I'm the 05, 06 Ford GT, right? I sat in one. And I'm like, this is so amazing. I remember when they came out, my little Adams polishes was 5 years old, so I was nowhere near able to buy one. That's when they were $100,000. They were cheap,
right?
Brand new, compared to what they are now. Right now, they're $400,000. But anyway, this car I sat in it, and the door closes, and it goes halfway over your head, right? The two doors meet in the middle, so that the side of the door, I closed the door. I had a hat on, that little tiny, a little button on the top of your
Yeah.
baseball cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
The door slammed into that, onto my head, dug that into my head, and cut my head, and I was bleeding. And I was like, I don't need this car.
Right. Right.
The heck with that. I am over it. No thanks. No way. I'm not getting one of these. So I said, screw it. Well, of course, that was, $250,000 ago, right? Because now, of course, they've accelerated in value a whole bunch. Well, then I got a buddy who did one. And he's like, oh, all you got to do is pull out these two things, and you lower the seat 4 inches or 3.5 inches, and then you're golden. I'm like, wish I would have known that a little while ago.
Yeah, man.
That would have been a cool thing to.
So is that on your wish list,
and have
or
this cool car that does fit?
So is that on your wish list, or is that in your?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that's on the wish list. That's on the wish list. A Porsche 914-6. Which is a little tiny, the 914, everyone hated them initially, and then they're suddenly warming up to them. They put a 6-cylinder motor in that little car, and talk about weight, power to weight ratio is crazy. Really a neat car. And then I think another car that I would do, I've got a 62 Corvette Resto Mod, so it's got an LS3 and a 6-speed Tremec. I kind of want to do that, only I want to do that with an old Ford convertible. And I'm thinking that, there's a couple of different models through the years that sort of interest me. But there's a couple of different models that I would do that with, and maybe even a hardtop, but something that's resto modded, because I want cars to drive well. And I really, really despise overheating. You know what I mean? I can't stand overheating. And I've overheated a lot of times in my life. I've puked more than I want to admit. And I don't want to puke anymore. I'm done puking. I don't want, the LS3 or the Coyote motor. What a wonderful motor. So I feel like a Coyote powered 6-speed manual old school car with like maybe a roadster shop chassis, something that's so that it's tight, it's on coilovers. That's kind of how the LS3 Corvette that we have is. It's a joy to drive. It never pukes. It has ice cold air conditioning. Those are nice attributes.
Do you have
a car that doesn't puke?
Do you have the capacity do you have a lift at your house?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, so having a lift at your house gives you the unfair advantage over us poor folk that don't have any ability to other than buying a creeper. I have no other way to get under my. That's why I buy trucks. They're a lot higher off the ground. I can do a lot more work on those things.
Oh yeah.
But have you considered, or maybe you have, and maybe you've already done it? Have you built your own?
Built my own lift?
No, not your own lift. You built your own car. So you take all the components of the things that you want.
Yeah, well, I did the Corvette. The Corvette my dad bought in 1985, so I wasn't quite 16, and I drove the wheels off it. It's a stock car, and then we took it apart to restore it, and then ended up realizing that it had been wrecked. It had a front clip from a 61 Corvette. It had like a station wagon transmission in it or something. The motor was all wrong. So we decided, let's make it into a resto mod. So we did that. We built the car. We went and bought a crate motor.
Nice.
We found an aftermarket chassis. And then I rebuilt it again 3 or 4 years ago, and changed it from the sort of the C4 chassis, C4 suspension Corvette, which was, the transverse mounted leaf springs, to coilovers, and put Willwood brakes on it and stuff. So it kind of did it twice. But I would build a car. Yeah, I would. I think I'd build something fun.
Talk to those in our community that are business builders also. So you've seen full circle. You've seen things go from thin to really thick to fat, and feeling good about it. What is something, and I know you kind of you remind me of a guy that would live a life of no regrets. You probably do what you want to because that's the only way to have fun and enjoy life and to get to success. But if there's something out there that you just couldn't put your finger on, that you wanted to be able to be, to go for, but you didn't quite get there, what's a regret that you may have had, or maybe a lesson that you've learned through the lack of regrets that you've had already that you wanted, share with our audience?
Like, are you thinking like cars I should have bought?
Nah, I think let's move on to business. I think everybody
Oh,
in our
okay.
audience probably has cars galore. Just talk about the business for a second.
Okay. Um, yeah, I've had some amazing people come and go into our company and get out of our company. And some of the most awesome people made some really major lateral moves. We had advances in our company. And, when I was younger and less mature, I don't think that I recognized how valuable the input of those really critical people was. And I think that I discounted or dismissed to some extent some people's value and how just critically important they were to our brand and our business. And one
Yeah.
guy was Mike Wilson. This guy, Mike Wilson, such a wonderful guy. He ended up moving on to go do something else. And I said, listen, I want you in my business. I really, really want you in my business. And he was like, listen, Adam, I just can't do it. I got a family to feed. And I could have made it worth his while, but I didn't. And I knew that he's just his work ethic, his faith, and the way he was with customers, he was magic. And then his daughter ended up working for us, and she was magic. And I kept her on the team for a long, long time, and she was amazing.
Nice.
Another guy, Dylan von Kleist, this guy that was just really amazing with chemicals, with understanding detailing, with how to articulate why you need to use a certain process to achieve a given result. He was magic at that. And I should have gone further to keep those people. And I
Yeah.
should have done more to it would have been uncomfortable for me to stretch to pay them what they wanted at that point. It would have been uncomfortable for me to buy them a company car. And I know that hindsight, I could have done all of those things and it would have paid dividends. It would
The
have.
the interesting thing about it is, and I can remember when we brought on, I own a podcast production company. The interesting thing is we brought on an operations manager and we paid her at that time, even just 10 years ago, $40,000, which in today's world is not a lot of money when it comes to
Oh,
income. But
yeah.
we were paying 40 grand to somebody before we were even bringing home a paycheck because we knew the importance of having somebody that really understands the structure, the systems, the processes in place. Had we been able to keep her, my partner and I, you said something earlier, and I can relate to it. If I find myself in a spreadsheet, or if I find myself building a system or a process, I know I'm in the wrong place. I want to do
Oh,
exactly
yeah.
what I'm doing, is having great conversations and building relationships with people. That for me is
Yeah.
is king. So I totally
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
Oh, it's huge. And you get the right people, it's like, there's a whole bunch of the EOS, right? The entrepreneurial
Yeah, I know.
organizational system. It's a whole thing, right? And you get the right people on the bus, you get the wrong people off the bus, and
Yep.
then you get the people on the bus that you want to keep, and then you put those people in the right seats on the bus. And that's it. And you're constantly playing chess with that, right? You're constantly trying to get the right people, both onto the bus and then into the right seats on the bus. And I think that's probably, if I was to look back, I should have, as a really immature. I mean, I think guys, now I have a daughter, right? She's about to graduate high school, and my wife's 13 years younger than me, but she's still more mature than me. I think that we are not the same a level of maturity as our female counterparts in a lot of
No
ways.
doubt, no doubt.
And I was very immature to start, and I was, I don't think I've ever been a huge ego guy, but I was immature, and I didn't give credit where credit was due. The other thing was, I think if I was to give one more, shoulda, woulda, coulda,
Yeah.
when I knew that people were wrong for the organization, I knew it in my heart that they were wrong, but they were still adding value. But their values were wrong. They were adding value to the company, but their integrity was off, or their value system was off. And I just kept them on there, even though I knew that they did not have faith. They did not have the same character that
Yeah.
I hoped that my key people would have. And I left them in the company. And as a result, that didn't help the overall integrity of our brand.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that I should have changed, dismissed some of those people. It's like they say, be slow to hire and quick to fire, right? You've heard
Yeah,
that before.
it's hard because they're people, they're people. And even though
I
you made
know.
the wrong hire or right at the time, but not right for your culture when you started to really scale your business,
Yeah.
they were still people. It's still hard to fire somebody.
Oh, it is. It is hard to fire people. And you hate firing people, especially when people have payments, when
Yeah.
people have payments and
Who doesn't have payments? Everybody that's working for you. You're the entrepreneur. You were probably the C
yeah.
student. I was the C and D student that hires all the A people to work with me because I'm not as smart as them, but I know how to run a business.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. It's funny. In college, I went to USC. Went to the business school there, and it was great. And I got in a lot of debt. I'm not bragging about that, certainly. But my teacher, one of the guys that came in, he was this huge mogul, this major business mogul. He was just coming as a guest speaker. He came in and he said, "Okay, anybody here?" And this is in the lecture hall, right? So there's probably 500 people in a lecture hall at a university. Says, "All right, anybody here an A student? Anyone here an A student?" Some hands went up. Heck, come on, stand up. Let's give you guys a round of applause. Great.
I know where this is going.
Congratulations, you guys are A students. That's so great. God bless you. That's amazing. All right, anybody have a B student? Okay. Anybody a B student? No B students. Okay. Well, okay. Oh yeah, you are. Okay, great. Stand up. Let's give you guys a great big round of applause. Okay, great. There they go. Round of applause. Okay, now how about the C students? Is anyone here just a C student and you're just stuck on a C and that's the way it is, and that's the way you are? Great. All right, so listen, here's what we're gonna do. I want everyone else to take a look around. You look at your C student. Look at your C student, ladies and gentlemen. You guys see these people? All of you A and B students, this is who is going to be your boss in not too long from now. You are going to be working for these people very soon. So just know that, the grades that you have are, while very important, is not the only thing of significance. There is more to it than that. And anyway, so he, I'll never forget that, and I did maintain a pretty solid average of not A's. Let's put it that way.
Well, it looks like I know we've had chatted, we've been interrupted, and you've picked up again, and you've been a real trooper when it comes to this. I'd love to have you back on the show so we can spend some more time talking about, I don't know, anything that you want to talk about, because this is just a fun conversation to have. Adam's experiencing technical difficulties.
Well, heck, that's great. Well, hopefully I'll have a conversation. I've been so humbled. I opened a car wash recently. Okay, you there?
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
see.
here.
How about now? You got me?
Yeah.
You can hear me now? Okay, perfect. I had to text my kids. I'm here picking up Enzo from school, and I had to text him, "Hey, I'm here. Wherever you are, come find me. I'm in the parking lot." So anyway, I bought this old decrepit car wash and turned it into something really cool, full hand wash and detail shop. And we turned this old thing into a beautiful facility, really nice, beautiful waiting room, just awesome, right? And I have been humbled beyond. I can't even explain to you how humbling it's been to hire great staff and to get the right amount of the right type of customer in the door. So next time we talk, I will expose all of the humility that I have gained as a result of Enzo's hand wash and detail. But if you want to look it up and see what we look like online, it's a beautiful facility. But my gosh, if you're going to open a business, ladies and gentlemen, I would recommend not opening a hand wash anywhere near Enzo, anywhere near Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho, because you're going down.
You're not going to have the right team to staff it, and you're going to have a really tough time finding the right employees or the right customers to pay up for expensive hand washing and detailing, because this is not the neighborhood for that.
I love it. Well, Adam, thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing your story, and I hope it wasn't just your typical interview. I know you do a lot of them, so I'm hoping you had a good time on the show.
Oh heck, this has been great. I appreciate it. It's so cool that we met, how we met, and how serendipitous, right?
We will be back in touch with you, and this episode will air in just a few weeks. Adam, enjoy picking Enzo up, and good luck with the car wash, also named Enzo.
Pray for us.
I am. Talk to you soon. See you.
Thanks.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. And don't worry, I'll be fine.